Hi, and welcome again to the Trusted Visions podcast. In the past couple of weeks, Jeremy has given us some tips on how to prepare for the due diligence process. But now this week, we're ready to get started, and it's time to organize yourself to make that move. So, Jeremy has some tips for us and some insight on how that should take place and how you can better prepare yourself for that. Jeremy, what can we do to help those advisors now that they've gotten off the fence and they're ready to move? What are the next steps?
John, great question. As we talked about last week, doing the appropriate amount of due diligence on broker dealers and the process of that. And now it really gets into the meat of the conversation that we always hear of a transition is too difficult. And so where I would start with, now that you've completed your due diligence, before you make that final decision, make sure that you understand the minutia and the details of the little things that you don't think of. And I'll give you a couple examples of that. Always make sure that you're reviewing the promissory note, even if it's a sample promissory note of any transition monies that they're giving you, the broker dealer's giving you. And the reason for that is some charge a different amount of interest. Some have clawbacks based off of production or assets. Make sure you understand not only getting 1099 for the forgiveness, but what that interest rate is. And a lot of people think, oh, it's a forgivable loan, there's no interest. We call it phantom interest or phantom income, so to speak. So make sure you understand that. Make sure that you understand your payout of, are you at a 90% payout for the rest of the year, for the whole year? And then they do a look back and give you a retroactive bonus. Is it only on production above and beyond what you'd qualify for 90? Understand what your payouts are. And then for recruiting OSJs, really understand how your broker dealer supports recruiting OSJs from the perspective of, do they discount the transition money if this advisor is joining you versus going direct to the broker dealer? Do the recruiters get paid any differently for recruiting to OSJs versus direct? Understand those details. And then now that we've really understood and you're ready to make that decision, don't panic. This is where the work begins. And I always say it's 30, 45, 60 days of pain to get to the other side. There's a reason that you were unhappy with your broker dealer. So don't panic. Set a timeline. Typically it's 4 to 6 weeks, if not 6 to 8 weeks from the time that you're looking to become effective. And then dedicate a timeline of, these are the things that I want to accomplish each week or each day. And it's, set aside time outside of your practice to be able to focus on the transition, whether it's 2 hours a day, whether it's 4 hours a day, whatever that may be. But don't put that to the side because something comes up, because what's going to happen is by the time that you're ready to become effective with that broker dealer, you're behind. And it's imperative that you understand who's responsible for what. Pretty much every broker dealer out there should have a transition timeline or checklist. Understand who's going to be responsible, whether it's the new broker dealer, whether it's you and your staff. Make sure that you understand who's responsible for what, and make sure that you're including your staff in on these conversations of technology and what's needed to make a smooth transition. Because a lot of times the staff's doing the heavy lifting, but they don't understand that checklist. So make sure you understand, hey, what client data do I need to pull? Any broker dealer that says they're taking your client data and going to populate the forms, to me, it's a mistruth, because from a Reg SP standpoint, they can't take possession of your client data. So that heavy lifting of populating the new account paperwork is going to be left to you or some technology companies out there. And there's even transition companies and teams out there that can help you with that. So understand the timeline and set it. And then make sure you segment your clients into A, B, and C clients. And what I mean by that is not that your C clients are any less important than your A clients, but from an advisory standpoint, from an asset standpoint, whatever that may be, make sure that you segment those clients and focus on the A clients, and then work your way down to the B clients and then your C clients when doing the new account paperwork. In addition to that, whether you're billing monthly in advance or quarterly in advance, monthly or quarterly in arrears, monthly or quarterly, whatever it may be, make sure you focus on that advisory business and that paperwork first. And the reason I say that is that, sorry, Zuko wanted to be part of the podcast. The reason I say that is those are going to be the accounts you want to get moved over first, because your client is going to get rebated whatever time, whether it's days or months that they were billed in advance. They're going to get refunded that amount, and then you can't rebill with that new broker dealer on that business until that new account paperwork has been signed and submitted to the broker dealer. So focus on that. And then the last thing I would say is set goals for yourself of, hey, I want to get this much of the checklist done this week, or I want to be ahead of the game and make sure I have my OBAs and everything approved. But set goals for yourself. And then just as importantly, set goals for yourself of, once you become effective with that broker dealer, what percentage of assets do you want to have moved over in the first 15 days? What percent of assets do you want to have moved over in 30 days? And where I've found that is really useful is those advisors or OSJs that have set those goals, not one of them has not moved at least 90% of their assets within 30 to 40 days. And so understand, yes, it's a lot of work, but preparation is key, and involve everybody in the process, being your staff, the transition team with the broker dealer, and understand the details. So John, I greatly appreciate it. Next week, we're going to be wrapping up this series. It's been a fun series. If you need to contact me, don't hesitate to text or call me 480-430-5012 or info@trustedvisions.com. Hope everybody has a blessed week.
Thanks again, Jeremy. That is some great information, especially on setting yourself timelines and specific goals to meet those timelines to keep yourself well organized. Well, we just have one more week left in this podcast series. We hope to see you next week. Until then, have a terrific week.